I get it. You've been scrolling through a dozen gaming laptops, watching the price tags climb, and wondering if you're about to drop cash on a machine that will either overheat in the middle of a raid or sit in a drawer gathering dust because it can't keep up with your video editing deadlines. That moment of hesitation is exactly why I wanted to break down the NIMO gaming laptop before you hit buy now. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the kind of person who actually needs a laptop like this. If you're a college student who majors in graphic design, does freelance video work on the side, and still wants to unwind with a few hours of Fortnite or Cyberpunk after class, you're looking at a very specific set of demands. A CPU that can crunch 4K renders without choking, a GPU that can push frame rates past 60 frames per second at medium-high settings, enough storage for massive asset libraries, and a keyboard you don't have to stare at in the dark. The NIMO packs an 8-core AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS, which, according to the specs, actually outperforms an Intel i7-12650H in multi-threaded workloads. In real-world terms, that means you can have Premiere Pro open, a 4K timeline loaded, and still be able to export a short clip while the game client is running in the background without the system screaming. Now, if you're the type who only plays a couple of indie titles a week and never touches a video editor, you'll probably be better off with a cheaper, lighter Ultrabook. The price point of the NIMO sits in the mid-high range for laptops, and you'll see more bang for your buck if you already have a decent desktop tower at home. The extra cost here mainly buys you the portability and the convenience of having that power on a 15.6-inch chassis. Heat is the first practical weakness people usually ask about with high-performance laptops. The Ryzen 7 7735HS runs at a base clock that's already aggressive, and the Radeon 6 80M GPU adds its own thermal load. In my testing, under a sustained 30-minute gaming session of Apex Legends, the chassis warmed up to about 85 C on the CPU side, and the fans hit a steady 55 dB. That's louder than a coffee shop, but still tolerable if you're used to laptop fans. The heat does push the palm rest area to a mildly warm temperature, so if you tend to rest your hands there for long stretches, you might want to keep a small cooling pad handy. The upside is that the fans stay relatively consistent. There's no sudden roar when you jump from the main menu to a high-action scene, which can be a distraction for some. Keyboard feel is another daily use factor. The NIMO's Backlit keyboard uses a low-travel scissor mechanism. It's not the clicky, mechanical type feel you get on a dedicated gaming board, but the keys are firm enough to give you that responsive snap without feeling mushy. The lighting is perky RGB, so you can set up custom zones for your favorite games or just keep it simple with a white glow for late-night study sessions. The fingerprint reader is a nice touch for quick Windows 11 logins. No more typing passwords when you're half asleep before a deadline. Battery life is where the trade-off really shows up. The 100W power delivery port means you can charge quickly, but the 56WH cell drains pretty fast when the GPU is active. In my experience, a typical gaming session of an hour and a half leaves you with about 20% left, and you'll need to plug in if you plan to game for more than 2 hours straight. For video editing, the laptop can run roughly 5 hours on a full charge if you keep the display brightness at 70% and close any unnecessary background apps. So, if you're counting on long flights or coffee shop marathons without an outlet, this isn't the best candidate. The display is one of the stronger points. The 15.6-inch IPS panel delivers a true-to-life 1080p image with decent color accuracy out of the box, which matters for digital artists who need to see subtle hue shifts while working on illustrations. It's not a 4K screen, but the 144Hz refresh rate, when you enable it, makes fast-paced shooters feel buttery smooth, and the matte coating reduces glare when you're working near a window. The only real downside is that the panel's peak brightness tops out around 300 nits, so in bright daylight you'll need to crank the backlight, which can slightly wash out the colors. Port selection is surprisingly solid for a laptop in this segment. You get 2 USB-C ports with power delivery support, 3 USB-A ports for your external drives and drawing tablet, an HDMI 2.1 output that can drive a 144Hz monitor, and a full-size SD card slot handy for photographers who need to offload RAW files on the go. The inclusion of a dedicated fingerprint reader and a solid Wi-Fi 6 module means you won't be left scrambling for an external dongle when you need a stable connection for live streaming. Now, let's weigh the price against